What's going on? Welcome back to the Roto Heat Fantasy Inferno, your weekly redraft live stream. We're talking redraft as always. We're halfway through the season. Got a lot to get off our chests, our collective chest. Talking about what's grinding our gears halfway through the season. We got some epic rants coming your way. I'm always good for a few of those, but I think this one's going to take the cake as far as ranting goes. Joining with me as always, my co-host Shane. How you doing, pal?
Man, I am great. I have a literal and figurative weight lifted off my shoulders. I went to the chiropractor today, got nice and adjusted and put back in alignment, so I'm not hurting as much.
Nice.
But then also, I finally closed my biggest deal of the year in sales, and it is just like hallelujah. So definitely needed that.
Being in sales, I know what that's like. I had some issues today pop up, but that always happens. You're always putting out fires, you know.
Absolutely.
You're basically a fire. No, you're not a firefighter. I shouldn't even say that because they work a million times harder than I have on my hardest day. So
right.
Let's get into it. We're going to talk about stuff that's grinding our gears, things that are kind of pissing us off that don't make sense, and we're going to attempt to make sense of it. So jump in the chat, leave some stuff that's bothering you. Maybe we'll touch on it in the question period. If you have questions, start, sit stuff, leave it in there as well, and we'll get to your questions as soon as we can. As always, hit that like button, subscribe button. Let's kick it off with the hit that like button. You know, let's get some love for the algorithm and get some eyes on this. So let's jump right into this thing. We're going to be talking Seattle Seahawks. The New York Giants deserve some respect. So let's get into the Seattle Seahawks. This is my first topic, my first idea. The Seahawks received one of two A+ draft grades from me this past offseason. They had a phenomenal draft. If you look at the guys that they got, they filled holes everywhere that they needed. They got their two bookend tackles of the future. They got two back-end secondary players that, Tariq Woolen, 4.2, I believe a 4.26 guy. I think he was the fastest at the combine. Leads the league in interceptions with 4. You got Kobe Bryant out of the very good program in Cincinnati, who also leads the league in forced fumbles. Then you got Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross, who I've touched on a few times on this show. You know, your two bookend tackles that have started every game at left and right tackle for this team. You know, go along with Damian. Goodness, can't remember his last name. Damian, he was at Clemson. That guy.
Oh.
Guard.
That guy.
That's a good. So they're putting together an offensive line finally, and then obviously Kenny Walker's doing what he's doing. My number one running back heading into the NFL draft this year. Boye Mafe was the other guy in there who's also playing a prominent role, and then a couple wide receivers at the end of the draft. So they earned an A+ draft grade out of me, one of 2. I don't give those out liberally, so one of 2 this year. I don't think anyone has expected Geno Smith to be doing what Geno Smith is doing right now. I think there's a lot of people that probably thought we'd see Drew Lock by now.
Yeah,
at this point,
I'm one of those, to be completely honest with you.
To be honest, I am too. I'm quite pleasantly surprised for Geno. This is I think he wins comeback player of the year just because he's been in obscurity for his entire career, forced into it as a rookie. But here we are. Clint Hurtt has done a great job with his defense as well. He deserves a lot of credit. And they just switched, just get defensive scheme this year. So this is a new defensive scheme with the team, bunch of rookies, bunch of new players. So that he's doing a fantastic job. Their next 4 games, they've got the Giants at home. They're going extreme east to extreme west. That might be a little difficult on the time change. Arizona in Arizona. But before they beat the Saints last week at home, they lost 8 straight at home. So the Cardinals at home are nothing to, and they already beat the Cardinals. And they already beat the Cardinals in Seattle, right? But then they go into Arizona, and there's no worries about beating Arizona at home. Tampa Bay at home again, and then the Vegas Raiders at home. And with the 12s, Seattle's not an easy out at home.
No.
So they could put some things together. They're 4-3. They lead the division right now. They can certainly put a run together and put a few things together.
Insane that they lead the division,
right? What do you think?
I would have never called that they would be leading the division. I thought it
Got
was
it.
going to be the Rams by far, with the 49ers probably trailing close behind. So this is a phenomenal job by the coaching staff. I think you and I've talked about previously. I had Walker as my RB1 too after the draft. So
I had
I
him
can
before the draft.
yeah. I had him RB3 I think before the draft, and then
Fair enough.
Spiller's draft capital tanked. So that basically flipped them,
Yeah.
and left Brees at 2 for me. And I'll admit I was wrong on Brees Hall too, but
I wouldn't say
uh,
you're wrong. He got hurt. It is what it is.
yeah, no. Well, I was lower on him than most people, is what I mean.
Hmm. To
But
be honest, I was too having him at 2. The
right,
things people were saying.
exactly.
So go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think this is a phenomenal job. I don't think you would have ever expected that. I do. The funny part to me is I think this is what people thought Geno Smith could be. Like, this is probably what people saw his ceiling as when he was drafted, but he
Yeah.
went to the Jets. And at
And
the
they forced
time,
him to play,
yeah,
which he was not ready for.
no. And I don't know if I can't remember if I've said it on this show, but I'm a huge advocate of sit your rookie quarterbacks for as long as you possibly can, because it just gives them time to adjust. And Geno never got that, and so I think it ultimately derailed his career. So it's nice to see him kind of having a revival at 31 years in Seattle and leading this team the way that he is. So
Yeah.
I that's all I got, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. They got some good things going for them. Like in these next 4 games, if they can peel off some wins, it's not crazy to say they win the next 4 straight. It's really not crazy. So, I'm not saying they do, but put some respect on the Seahawks name a little bit.
Yeah.
Move to the New York Giants. They deserve some respect as well. They're I think 5-1, I believe. 6-1? 5-1.
6-1.
6-1. They are 6-1. Playing Seattle this week on the road, so we'll see how that shakes out. But man, and I knew this coming in, that Brian Dable was going to put together a phenomenal staff, and that was an unbelievable hire. He's a fantastic head coach. Right now, he's coach of the year, no question. Right this second, if the season ended today. Wink Martindale comes in. He's a phenomenal. I'm not really sure why Wink hasn't gotten a shot at being a head coach in the NFL. Maybe he doesn't want to. That's all I can kind of assume, because he certainly has the credentials. And then Mike Kafka, a little bit underrated, former quarterback, very much in the Byron Leftwich kind of mold, getting brought along slowly as an OC, quarterbacks coach, Andy Reid, then Brian Dable, So that's how I see Mike Kafka, and I like the way he's kind of being brought along as a coaching prospect. And then this team, just in general, is we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This is a polar opposite of what the Carolina Panthers are.
Yeah.
Outside, if you look at this roster, take a look at this roster. It's not good.
No.
Outside of Saquon Barkley, there's hardly any talent on this
Wide
team.
receiver is hot garbage. Quarterback is playing above expected.
Yeah.
Offensive line is good. That's the difference.
Evan Neal just went down.
Yeah.
So that hurts.
Yeah. But other than that, like, where's the talent on this team?
Yeah, there's even on the defensive side of the ball, I'm looking at, and I'm like, Kayvon Thibodeau maybe eventually, but not right this second. There's really like no talent on this team. They're just playing. Every part of this team is overachieving. I compared them to the Panthers. Pretty obvious with Christian McCaffrey. Tons of talent there at running back. It's very correlated, right?
Yeah.
The Panthers just underachieved everywhere.
Yeah.
Coaching staff, defense, everything, special teams, everything underachieved.
Quarterback,
everything. The Giants are overachieving everywhere. Everywhere they're overachieving on defense, special teams, offensive line, the wide receivers, quarterback, everything's overachieving. So, and then in their next, so they're 6-1 right now in their next 4 games. At Seattle, tough game, yes. At home to Houston, at home to Detroit, and then on the road at Dallas. They go 2-2. You're sitting there 8-3.
I think.
What's that?
I think they can easily go 2-2 in that stretch.
100%, right?
There's a chance they can go 3-1
potentially, and then they have Washington. They have the football team, the Commanders. They have them twice, later on in the season.
That's 2 dubs. Sorry.
So if they go 2-2 in their next 4, they're sitting there at 8-3. they've almost guaranteed themselves a winning record, which
Yeah.
is beyond better than anyone would have expected, in my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely. I
So,
thought they were going to be bottom of the barrel and we're drafting Daniel Jones' replacement at the end of this year or
yeah.
in the draft next year.
And now, like Daniel Jones has earned himself another contract. You got to figure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Well,
what they're
and
going to do because
Cody, I think this goes to my. You're gonna laugh probably. My point with Baker or with any quarterback we've had question marks on. Coaching is so important, and
yeah,
putting them in a scheme where they can succeed and having a coach that actually believes in them is so important. I think we've seen that with Tua this year too. Like a
yeah,
lot of people, not me, were out on Tua because they didn't. I mean, they didn't think he could throw the deep ball. They didn't think he could run an NFL offense. Blah 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 blah. And the Dolphins are sitting at what 4-3, 5-2, I think
4-3. Yep.
4-3.
Yep.
And he was out for 2 games because of the concussion. So like, if he's healthy for those games, they're likely looking at 5-2, 6-1, something like that.
Yeah.
And so I just think that when you've got a coach that is not an idiot and knows what they're doing and can coach people to a level that you aren't used to, then you can actually have a team that succeeds.
Yeah. Don't try to fit a square hole in a round peg.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what a lot of people have tried to do with a lot of quarterbacks. We see it all the time. And that's certainly not what they're doing with Daniel Jones. They understand his strengths. They're playing to his strengths. Wink Martindale's doing an absolutely phenomenal job with that defense. So, they're leaning on Saquon Barkley, which of course they would. He's by far the most talented player on that entire team, and it's not close whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the big difference for me between Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield is Daniel Jones has more natural tools, in my
Yeah.
opinion. He's bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
To me, those are just facts. Does that mean that he's a better quarterback? I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But he has better, tools to work with. And then,
Sure.
like you said, with coaching, if he can be brought along properly and, taught and coached up, and then they scheme around him, then they can make lemonade out of lemons, right? So
Exactly.
we'll see how it works out with Daniel Jones, but he might earn himself another contract. Realistically, I don't think they're going to have another option because they're going to play their way out of a high draft pick.
Yeah.
And then, what are they going to do? Go after a veteran quarterback that hasn't exactly worked out lately. So you might as well just continue rolling with Daniel Jones.
Giants, just look at the Colts.
Exactly.
Like, just look at the Colts and what they've tried to do at quarterback for the last 3 to 4 seasons. You're like, it might be better for them to stick with Daniel Jones at this point, like you're saying.
I think they are for sure. Sure. And side note, I'm excited to see what Sam Ellinger does over there.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. The next part here, Jets are a mirage. So, I mean, I've had a massive rant about Zach Wilson. We can leave that there. But the credit where credit's due. The Jets are 5-2. So credit and Bob Saleh, Mike LaFleur, they're doing a phenomenal job. They got a good foundation. But at the end of the day, I think the Jets are a mirage, and we're going to see that in the next 6 games. In the next 6 games, they have New England twice, Buffalo twice, and the Minnesota Vikings in 5 of the next 6 games. So I think we're going to see them come back down to earth. There's a very reasonable potential they lose 5 out of the next 6 games. I think, the Patriots are having a tough go right this second. That was a horrendous loss to the Bears the other night there. But at the end of the day, it's the New England Patriots. It's Bill Belichick, and I think they get it back on track. And at worst, I think they split with the Jets here. So I think there's no way the Jets beat the Bills.
No.
I think we can agree on that one.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jets beat the Vikings.
I agree with that.
So they split with New England. They go, 2-4 kind of at best in their next 6 games. And then we'll see what happens with the Jets. I just think they're an absolute mirage. Braxton Berrios has as many passing touchdowns as Zach Wilson does.
No way.
And 1 more rushing touchdown. Facts.
Wow.
So,
So is it a bold take to say that the Jets might need to go back to Flacco?
I mean, he still has like 300 more passing yards than Zach Wilson. I mean, if people watch the show a fair amount, they've heard my rants about Zach Wilson. They know how I feel about Zach Wilson. But just as a team, I think the Jets are a mirage, and we're going to see them fall back down to earth. And they're doing what they can. They brought in James Robinson. That was a great trade. They're doing what they can to stay alive and to try to keep it going and stay in games and everything like that. And I like seeing it. And the coaching staff's doing a great job. At the end of the day, I just don't think Zach Wilson is it. And, they just don't have enough talent quite yet, but they do have a nice foundation. Jets fans have a reason to be, optimistic for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, well, I'd want to make sure I'm correct on this real quick, so I'll try and talk about the other points. But I agree with you that they have a good foundation. Okay, I was right. So they've got Garrett Wilson, who I think you and I both love. Elijah Moore has requested a trade, but for now he's on the team. He's a good piece.
Yeah, they won't trade him, I don't think.
They lost Breece Hall. That's killer. But James Robinson and Michael Carter, I think, will be able to get the job done, but it's not going to be at the same level as Breece Hall. Sure. They'll still be able to run the ball and probably get you some fantasy production, but it's not going to be like in total. It might be like Breece Hall's floor.
Yep.
But ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is like I agree with you. Like with the way that they're running this offense with Zach Wilson at the helm, it limits the fantasy ceiling for anybody else. And as a team as a whole, I think I agree with you that like the core pieces are there. They did just lose Elijah Vera Tucker, and that's who I was making sure that I had him on the right team. Mm-hmm. He's out for the season, and that's going to be huge for them because, again, we've talked about it for probably 3 weeks straight now. Like, offensive line is the key to your team succeeding right now, and I think that's probably what's been getting the Jets to where they're at, but losing Tucker is going to be huge, and if Wilson can't kind of step up and react to the fact that he's not having the same protection with that lineman being out, then this team's going to go south pretty darn quick.
Yeah, I just think it is what it is, and they just don't have enough talent, and that's just the facts. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to come down on the Jets. It just is what it is. Like they're just not there yet. So they might get there, but it's certainly not going to be this year. And I think we'll see the next 6 games. We'll see that the Jets are a bit of a mirage. I just wanted to touch on the Bears quickly because I love what they did in that game against the Patriots. And like the title says, they're fighting the good fight. They're doing what they can. They made a trade today, traded Robert Quinn to the Eagles, which looks like the NFC Super Bowl representative. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be particularly close at this juncture, but we'll see.
No.
But that was a great trade for them, picking up. I think they got a 4th round pick back.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're doing exactly what a bad team needs to do to stay in to potentially win ball games. They run the ball, and then run the ball some more.
Yeah.
Like that's the way.
And they're playing good defense.
And play good defense. Exactly. Like I'll get into that in a second with the Packers here later on, but that's what they're doing. And it's allowed them, they're 3-4. Like a lot of people some people didn't even have them winning that amount of games. It's a new defense, new defensive scheme, right? They got a bunch of different players coming in. They got some good young players. I really like Jaquan Brisker a ton. Jalen Johnson's a good cornerback as well. Roquan's obviously Roquan, but he might be gone after this year. But they're doing what they can. So Matt Eberflus is doing a great job coaching that team. I just think they deserve a little bit of a shout out. I'm not saying I'm not going to go into depth on the Bears here. I just think they just need, I'll give them a little bit of a shout out because, they're fighting the good fight out there. They're doing what they can to stay in ball games. Both their running backs look great. And people really need to stop hating on David Montgomery and stop hoping for him to die and fail so Khalil Herbert can be your new favorite running back. I'll leave that there.
I was about to make a comment about Khalil Herbert, but I'm going to leave it alone.
I love Khalil Herbert. I like Khalil Herbert, but the fact is David Montgomery is still a very, very, very good running back.
I agree with that.
And it's not like he's 28.
No, he's maybe 25, I think, if I remember correctly.
I think he is too. Yeah, right around there. So
yeah. So no, the only comment I was going to make about Khalil Herbert is he just seems, it's almost like the Zeke Pollard argument where Herbert seems just a little bit more explosive, maybe a little more efficient, than what Montgomery is. But Montgomery's going to get, like, what you're getting with Montgomery every single time.
Dave
And
Montgomery's
that's not a bad thing.
He can ball, man. He's a good football player.
Yeah, I agree.
So it just drives me nuts. You know how much that drives dynasty community. Just Khalil Herbert. They need to bench sit Dave Montgomery. Why are they giving Dave Montgomery carries? Because he's a really good football player. Yeah. That's why. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. So I wanted to rant on that quickly for half a second.
Sure.
All right, let's move over to. We got this kind of a request in a chat on our Twitter
feed
about the show. So what's going on in Atlanta? You want to kick this off, Shane?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Before I do that, thanks for everyone that's already sending in questions in the chat. We will answer those at the end of the show. So please keep sending those in and stick around for when we get to those.
And hit the like button while you're there.
Bam! Now let's jump on to Atlanta. What's going on in Atlanta? I've said all off season long, this team is going to be a bad football team. And so far I'm right. They've won probably already more than I expected.
I mean, this is not the narrative I'm going to go with, but they are tied with the division for the division lead right now. So I don't think you can call them a bad football team right this second.
Well, I think that may just be the division is a lot worse this year than I think anyone.
I'm throwing it out there.
But ultimately, I think, especially as fantasy owners right now, we've got to be frustrated with what's going on with Kyle Pitts and what's going on with Drake London. You drafted Kyle Pitts likely in the top 3 rounds of your draft. You drafted Drake London as the rookie wide receiver 2, maybe even wide receiver 1. And you're not getting that level of production right now. And for some reason, like I swear to God, Arthur Smith is like, okay, Arthur Smith just must be in a bunch of fantasy leagues where he's playing against Kyle Pitts and Drake London every week because he is doing everything he can to not get them the ball, it feels like. And it doesn't make sense to me because you correct me if I'm wrong here, Cody, the point of football is to score points. And an easy way to score points is to get your best football players the ball. Why are you not doing that, Arthur Smith? Like, there is so much more talent just in the 2 bodies of Kyle Pitts and Drake London than potentially a lot of your team combined. That's probably a little too bold, but whatever, we'll go with it. That
could be pretty accurate though.
That you need to get them the ball more. Like, your offensive would be more explosive. It would cause your offense to be on the field longer, hopefully, which then would give your defense a break so that they're not getting boat raced every week. And they're not really getting boat raced every week, but like they're not
last week against my Bengals.
Exactly. When they play a good offense, they're going to get their breaks beat off. So
yeah,
you gotta start getting the ball to them because at this point, like, not only are our fantasy owners going to get mad at you, Arthur Blank's probably going to start getting mad at you too, and you may not have a job.
So I said I was going to play devil's advocate, and here I go. So, and I will say, I will preface this, that I do actually like Arthur Smith as a head coach. I do.
I don't hate him, to be honest.
So what I think he's doing, and I won't argue the fact that he needs to get the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts more. Can't argue that. You really can't. You'd sound like a fool if you try to argue that point. So I won't argue that, but he's much like the Chicago Bears. He's a bad team. He knows he's a bad team. Mm-hmm. He's going to run the ball some more, stay in the game as long as he can. This is why the Giants are 6-1. Yeah. Run the ball some more, hang on in the game, see what happens in the fourth quarter. And how many games have the New York Giants won in the fourth quarter? Probably 6 of their 6 wins.
Right? I don't know the actual answer to this, but I do know that Daniel Jones has the most game-winning drives this year.
There you go. So that's what they're doing. It does work. It can work.
Yeah.
It can work, right? So that's what they're trying to do in Atlanta. And the fact is, again, like I said earlier, they are tied for the division lead. So it's early in the season, and I do not expect that to continue. I don't think the Falcons end up, contending for this division. I think the Saints have a better shot at winning this division still.
Agreed.
But I do like what they're doing a little bit to a point. Like I won't disagree. They do have to get the ball to Pitts and London more. But, Arthur Smith knows Marcus Mariota better than anyone. He knows his limitations. He knows what he can do and he knows what he can't do.
Sure.
And he's not, again, like we said before, he's not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Absolutely.
Right? So just, run the ball, check downs, flats, Marcus is going to run a little bit. You throw 1 or 2 deep shot a game, which they do, right? They had, Demir Bird, 75-yard touchdown. Yep. Zacchaeus has had a long touchdown. Even Drake London has had some long gains. Right. Yeah. So, that's what he's doing. And I get it. I understand what he's doing. Is it good for fantasy? God, no. God, no. It's terrible for fantasy football. And to be honest, it's not the funnest football to watch either. Yeah. Right. That's why, not a ton of people are tuning into Chicago Bears games or to be honest, New York Giants games, because that's what they're doing. Run, punt, check down, pass, whatever type of thing, and just trying to hang in games as long as they possibly can and see what happens in the fourth quarter. So
that makes sense. That's it. I like it makes sense what you said, especially with the context of what the Giants are doing. It just feels like to me at some point, like maybe not even fitting a square peg in a round hole, but like changing up your play calling to give like some of those dinks and dunks to Drake London or Kyle Pitts, because it'd be similar to.
But the problem there is he's the best blocking wide receiver, not even close on that team. You got Demir Bird and Zacchaeus.
Oh, yeah. Because London's
5'8",
6'5".
Yeah,
no, that part makes sense for sure.
So,
I guess what I was getting at is like what the Dolphins, and it's a little different, obviously, because Tyreek and Waddle are 4.2, 4.3 speed, but getting the ball in Pitts and London's hands short so then they can get yak. Is kind of what I'm thinking for a way that they could change the offense to maybe get them involved a little bit more.
I'm excited to see what my number 2 quarterback coming into the draft looks like in this offense. I think he most certainly gets a shot.
Ritter.
I love Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter.
I knew that I loved you. I knew that I loved you. So I've been on the Desmond Ritter train for 2 or 3 years now. Like I love him too. I
had him as my number 1 quarterback until the Bama game in the playoffs, and he just missed some throws. He just missed some. Alec Pierce was wide open early in the first quarter in the first drive, I think, in that Bama game, and he had a touchdown, didn't go there. A couple things, and I had to move Kenny Pickett up to number 1. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with Desmond Ritter, who will make that throw. You know, so like Drake London looks an awful lot like Alec Pierce. So there you go.
And I think he's taller by a lot.
Yeah, and better, but
for sure.
But if you squint, really hard,
it looks like Alec.
Yeah. So let's move on here. We're gonna move on to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is being held hostage in Cleveland right now.
Yep.
I'm gonna get into some things here. Trade deadline's coming up. It's November 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern time is the trade deadline, the NFL trade deadline. He's in the final year of his contract. He had a little hold in and ask for a trade in the preseason. He's shown throughout his career, obviously in his rookie year especially, that he can be a bell cow. He can be an every down running back. He can do everything. He can do everything that you need a running back to do in the NFL. He's 27 years old. Which one I want to go first? He's only lost 1 fumble in his entire career. 1 fumble, and that was in his rookie year. He's only lost 1 fumble. That's insane to me.
That is,
he's got in 66 games played. This is as a part-time player for pretty much his entire career, except for his rookie year and his second year, but then he got suspended, and we'll touch on that in a second. But in 66 career games, mostly as a part-time type of a player, he has 48 touchdowns. That's 0.73 touchdowns per game, and I'm certainly not saying he's as good or close or better than this player, but That's a better average than Barry Sanders.
Damn.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not like this is like his third year, right? Like Kareem Hunt's been around. I think this is his 6th or 7th season in the NFL. And Barry Sanders played 9.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Like the talent's there. We all know the talent's there. And I'm not just gonna, I'll give some solutions here. The Browns are 2-5 as it sits right now. 2-5. Their next 4 games: Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo, Tampa Bay. You think what are they? 1-3, maybe, if they're lucky in their next
Kansas
4
City,
games.
Buffalo, Tampa Bay, and who was the fourth one?
Cincinnati, Miami, Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Maybe 1-3
Maybe.
in their next 4 games. And they're 1-5 right now. It's time to release Kareem Hunt.
Release the Kareem.
Yes. So I'm not just going to throw it out there and say nothing. The LA Rams, it's a great spot.
Yep.
A great spot for Kareem Hunt. Great spot to trade him. It's in the NFC. He's out of your hair. Great. Get Cam Akers back.
Yeah.
They're going to give him away. You can get Cam Akers and probably some kind of draft pick back from the Rams. They don't care about their draft picks anyways. They have 3 6-round picks. Go ahead and get Cam Akers in a 6th for Kareem Hunt. Who says no? The Dolphins. Dolphins are a great spot. Sure, it's still in the AFC, but that's a fantastic spot. They got tons of draft capital. That they have 2 first-round picks, even though they traded all them picks for Tyreek. They have 2 first-round picks this year, whatever. Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, fantastic spot. They need to make a move if they want to stay in the race. If they want to think about making the playoffs, they got to do something. James Conner's not the answer. Benjamin's certainly not the answer. Go out, draft picks, get Kareem Hunt over. So release Kareem Hunt. Cleveland Browns, stop holding them hostage. What say you, Shane?
I love it. I'm hoping that there's a Kareem Hunt trade coming very soon. I think my favorite out of those 3 that you suggested, and this is maybe personal bias and you know why, would be the Dolphins. I think that would be a really great fit for him and for Tua. So I think that's potentially the best fit. Just because, so here's the personal bias I was actually talking about. You know how much I love Kyren Williams. I'm ready to see Kyren Williams get a chance in LA. And I don't know how good, because we've talked about it, the Rams offensive line's hot garbage. They need help blocking, and that's where I know Kyren Williams can help. And then we've talked about it, but I don't know how good of a pass blocker necessarily Kareem Hunt is. Obviously, he's a great weapon in the passing game as a receiver, and we've seen him be an RB1 between the tackles and running the ball as well. So I just don't know if LA, with the way that the whole team is playing, if that's where he would want to go, because I think at this point he might be chasing titles. And Miami, I don't want to say Miami feels like the best title contender out of those. But personally, that's where I'd like to see him go.
Well, it's in the last year of his contract, so he can move on.
Yeah.
And when you ask for a trade, this is much like I said about Cam Akers. Do you think Cam Akers wants to go to Cleveland?
No.
But when you ask for a trade, you don't get a lot of,
I say so.
Decision. Yeah. It's not your decision, man. We're going to trade you. You want to trade? Sure. We'll trade you to Cleveland. Have fun.
Sure.
So that's kind of how it goes. And Kareem Hunt did ask for a trade. So he's going to have to go wherever he gets traded. So it is what it is. But Cleveland Browns release the hostage that is Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next topic. Quarterbacks are a problem. What's the problem with quarterbacks, Shane?
Okay, this one was mine, and I had a gut feeling, but I've also just been personally burned by a couple guys. So my problem with quarterbacks this year is they are not playing as well as they have been over since last year. So had my buddy Seth Keller at FF, the at-home dad, actually run a report for me, and basically what it shows is that every week so far this year, quarterbacks have scored less than they did last year. And in some weeks, it's pretty significant. Like week 5, they were over 100 points less than where they were last year. Week 1, they were almost exactly 100 points lower this year than they were last year, as a positional whole. But then if we dive into some other numbers, like player specifics, Justin Herbert is the one that comes to mind the most, and it's because I have a lot of shares of him. Last year, he was at 23.3 points per game. This year, he is at a measly 17.8. And if we go and look at kind of the breakdown of the numbers, the top 5 guys this year are Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. And the top 5 last year were pretty close. It's Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Mahomes, Hurts, and Lamar were right outside that. But the significance is outside of the top 5, everyone else is scoring less than 20 points per game this year at the quarterback position. Kyler Murray, 19.3. Geno Smith's a nice one at 18.1. But Herbert, 17.8. Daniel Jones, 17.3. That's a nice one. Carson Wentz, 17.3. Tua Tagovailoa, 17.3. Trevor Lawrence, that's an improvement, 17.2. But if we look at that compared to last year, like Jalen Hurts, 21.4, Lamar, 21.1, Aaron Rodgers, who you're going to talk about, 21, Dak, 20.7, Burrow, 20.5, Stafford, that's another one that's hurt me this year, 20.4. And then even Kirk Cousins is at 19.2, and Russell Wilson was 17.8. Wilson this year is at like 15. I just found him. Yeah, 15.1.
Yeah. And another thing we're seeing is a lot of injuries, a lot more injuries to the quarterback position.
Yeah, and that is one part that I wanted to address too. Like Dak's been hurt. Tua was hurt. I feel like I'm forgetting one that's blatantly obvious.
Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson.
Wilson, Matt Ryan this week. Like we've seen a lot more injuries to the quarterback, and I feel like that happened maybe in 2019 or 2020. We saw some pretty significant injuries. So it's just been frustrating to me because like I drafted Justin Herbert to be a key piece of a lot of teams. You drafted Matthew Stafford expecting 20 points a game, and you're not getting that. Mm-hmm. So it's really having to cause me to have to change different lineups and either seek out trades or seek out players that can fill in that gap, because the quarterback position as a whole has just been a lot lesser value than what you were getting last year.
Yeah, we've touched on this a few times. Like if you don't have one of those top 5 guys, then you're going to be hooped in a lot of weeks. You're not going to be able to win a lot of fantasy games without one of those top quarterbacks. So I think the cliff is much more dramatic than it's ever been in the last, at least few years. It used to be, in redraft and, in a 10 or even 12 team league, you would rather just stream. You would rather stream 2-3 guys, depending on your bench size, and just play matchups and get that 20-point floor, right?
Yeah.
But now
you're not getting that this year.
You're not getting it. So if you don't have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, the guys that you named, if you don't have those guys, it's an uphill battle, every week in and week out. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I really think the only 5 or 6 guys that you are okay with this year are right now, at least, are Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Lamar, Geno. And then I'll even throw Goff in there because he's getting you 17 points per game.
But like Geno, Goff, and I would put Kirk Cousins ahead of those 2 guys. And Kirk Cousins would be my next guy up, to be honest.
Sure.
So if you don't have one of those 5 guys or 4 guys, whichever you named, like that's it, and then Herbert and Kirk Cousins would be my next 2 guys kind of up on that list. And in fairness to Justin Herbert, like he should be playing better than he is, no question. But, Rayshon Jenkins, Corey Linsley being down, Keenan Allen being down.
And he was hurt too.
Yeah, and he had those ribs, right? Like there's a lot of things playing, against him. So Zion Johnson hasn't been, exactly what they drafted him to be quite yet. I think he's a good football player and he'll get there. But it's not all his fault, but it is a wild year regardless for quarterback play, when you used to just say, whatever, I'll find a quarterback. I'll get a quarterback in a trade. I'll draft a quarterback late, whatever. This has been a bit of an anomaly year, and maybe this might get a little more normal. This is what my maybe concern is. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, because like
it's not easy to find a franchise quarterback.
No,
it is not easy.
Look at the Panthers. Look at the Colts. I feel like there's
lots of teams.
Yeah, but those two
like
come
not
to mind.
only are these guys
The Commanders.
Not only these guys we named like the realistically like only real good fantasy assets. There's not even 32 NFL caliber quarterbacks in the league right now, and there hasn't been ever. But now there's even less, right? So it's like, as the Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford start to retire, Ben Roethlisberger, who's going to step up to replace them? Because they're not. They're just not there, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the draft class coming in this year, and Stroud looks pretty legit, but Bryce Young, I'm not like.
Oh, I'll fight you on that one. We can disagree on that.
We're still early in the season. But I'm not looking at any of these guys being like, that's Joe Burrow caliber.
Sure,
right?
I completely.
So we can talk about that another day. But yeah, we gotta wrap this up a little bit in a second here, because I got to get to this and I got a rant here. So the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. So I got a whole bunch of stats here to back up why I'm hating everything that this team is doing right now. Every single decision that is being made on the field by this team, by those two on your screen right now, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, is absurd. So they're 3-4 right now. They have 128 points for, 146 points against. Okay, cool. Actually, I'm going to preface this first. This team, I said before the season started, and I bet on this team to win the division on the belief that they could win this division by running the football and playing defense. I think coming into the season, most people would agree that the Green Bay Packers were a top 5 defense, potentially the best defense in the league, right? They have all the pieces they need. They're a fantastic defense. They played well last year, blah, blah, blah. Run the football and play good defense
too.
They traded Devontae Adams. He's gone, right? Okay, cool. There's no wide receivers. What do you need to do? Look at your backfield. You have one of the best tandems at running back in the entire NFL.
Yep, 100%.
Right? So run the football, play good defense. Week 1, they lose 23-7. They had 15 total rushing attempts. Yep. Their only touchdown in that game came in the third quarter. And how was it scored? A rushing touchdown. The first half, this is how the first half went for the Green Bay Packers. 5 plays, punt. 6 plays, punt. 10 plays, turnover on downs. That's a good drive. Hey, it is what it is. 3 plays, punt. 1 play, interception. They go into the second half, or in the first half where that game was still close. In the first half, they had 8 rushing attempts. 8. With A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones.
Which means,
ridiculous.
Those of you that aren't as good at math, they only had 7 in the second half.
There you go. Well, they were down, so that kind of makes sense. That's why I highlighted the first half where they're still in the game, right? Yeah. You run the ball, Week 2, 33 rushing attempts in a 27-10 win. Fantastic. They figured it out. Run the ball. They more than doubled their rushing attempts, and they beat the brakes off the Chicago Bears. Sweet. They figured it out, right? Wrong. Week 3, 24 rushing attempts. They got the win 24-12, right? Hey, they got the win. It is what it is. They were up 14-3 at half. And again, if you're not good at math, that means they didn't score a single point in the second half. This is their second half plays. This is their second half, how it went for this in the second half for this team. 4 plays, punt. 3 plays, punt. 3 plays, INT. That's an interception on a passing play. Makes no sense. 4 plays, punt. 3 plays, punt. 4 plays, punt. 8 plays, decent drive, ended in a, punt. Right? They had 9 rushing attempts in the second half when they're up 14-3. 9 rushing attempts. And they didn't score a single point. 3 plays, 4 plays, 3 plays. They had 6 drives of 3 or 4 plays that ended in a punt of their 7 total drives in the second half. Ridiculous. Week 4, 33 rushing attempts in a 23-24 close ball game, but they got the win. 33 again rushing attempts. Great. Thank you. Okay. Maybe they just, fell off the rails, still got the win against Tampa Bay. So, okay, maybe they fell off the rails. Then they come back, run the ball 33 times, get the win, right? Wrong. Week 5, they come back, 19 rushing attempts in a 27-22 loss to the Giants. They had 5.1 yards per carry in that game.
Yep.
Their passing plays, 5.7 yards per passing attempt. Does that make any sense in the world?
No.
Week 6, they come out 19 rushing attempts in a 27-10 loss. Okay, 27-10, that's a blowout, right? This game was 3-3 at halftime. 3-3. That's insane. Run the frickin' football. Week 7, 12 rushing attempts total. 12.
Serious?
In a 23-21 loss to the Commanders. 12 rushing attempts. You are kidding me.
That's
Matt LaFleur
insane.
and Aaron Rodgers and the whole team deserves this. A-Rod's passing attempts per yards per passing attempt. In a week 1 loss, 5.7. Week 2 win, 9.4. Week 3 win, 7.3. Week 4 win, 7.2. Week, what am I at? 5. Week 5 loss, another 5.7. Week 6 loss, 6. Another loss, 5.5. How obvious does it need to be?
Yeah.
Like how obvious does it need to be? Run the ball 40 times, 50 times. I don't give a shit. Run the friggin' football until both of those guys' legs fall off. And here's what the problem is. Aaron Rodgers is checking out of rushing plays.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
He's being given and a lot of quarterbacks get this. Peyton gets it, Tom Brady gets it, right? They get two plays, a run play and a pass play, right?
Yep.
And then they read the defense and they do whatever they see, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm fine with that. But the problem is Aaron Rodgers checking out of running plays and doing these extensions of the run. Pad dump offs, flats, Aaron Jones, and little quick outs, slants, stuff like that, like extensions of the running game. I'm more than fine with extensions of the running game, right? It's a fantastic way to run your offense if you have a good offense. Look at the Buffalo Bills. That they do a ton of that, a ton of extensions of the run, right? The exact same plays, types of plays that the Green Bay Packers do, but the Buffalo Bills have a fantastic offense, right? Your offense is not good, Green Bay. So how do they solve this problem? I really don't know. I was a person saying, yes, bring back Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay Packers, you have to bring back Aaron Rodgers. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the game, back-to-back MVP, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think they were going to sign him to another 4-year contract. Take a look at Aaron Rodgers' contract. There's a lot of people talking about, cut him, trade him, whatever. You can't do anything with Aaron Rodgers' contract. Mm-mm. He's going to be on this team until he retires, and then he's probably going to eat some dead cat money on you like Drew Brees did to the Saints. Great. Like, this team is in shambles. This team is in absolute shambles. They need to come out and run the ball a minimum 40 times. And the fact is, how does Matt LaFleur take that away from Aaron Rodgers? You really can't. He's really just stuck with this. And this monster's kind of been created. And unlike Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers won't run the ball 40 times a game.
Yeah.
We see it. We're seeing it right now. He just won't do it. So that's a big rant. That's a big rant. What do you got? What do you got for me, Shane?
Are you ready for me to add to it? Because my mom's entire side of the family is from Kenosha, Wisconsin. They're all Packers fans. God. So I've got a soft spot for the Packers. So this one hurts me a little personally. Okay. Looking at this year, A.J. Dillon is averaging 3.9 yards per carry. And that seems a little low. So looking at him pulled up on Sleeper right now, if you take out week 2 and week 3, he does not have a game. Okay, he does not have a game under 3.75 yards per carry. Aaron Jones is way up at the top of the.
Wasn't he 8.9 yards a carry in one game?
Yes. There was one game we talked about it a few weeks ago where they were both at one point averaging ridiculous yards per carry, and I don't know what happened.
I think it was like
Aaron Jones,
6.9 and 8.9 or something like
yeah,
that yards
yep,
per carry. And I think that was in that Chicago game. That's
yeah,
when I was like, oh, okay, they figured it out. They know what they need to do. They need to run the ball. Okay, they got to figure it out.
yeah,
Not even close. Like this is a big problem for this team that they need to sort out. And Aaron Rodgers needs to take a hard look in the mirror and say,
mhm,
I have to do what I have to do to win football games.
yeah,
Because the reality is Matt LaFleur is not going to be able to take that away from him. He's really not.
no,
So you're kind of stuck with it. It is what it is. But Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be the one to make this work the way it
yeah,
needs to work, because that's how this team is built right now. And that's what you need to do to try to win football games and to try to get back in this division. Because right now it's kind of gone. It's kind of
yeah,
gone on you.
yeah.
So
Well, and then Aaron Jones is at 5.5 yards per carry
mhm,
for the year.
mhm.
So just think about that from a mathematical standpoint. 3.9 plus 5.5 is 9.4,
4.
8.4.
Yeah.
You need a half a yard on third down or
Yeah.
second down or like
Yep.
run the ball. But then
Well,
to your point too, with the extensions of the passing game, you're absolutely right. They do not have enough talent on the outside right now. I love Alan Lazard. I think Romeo Dobbs has a ton of potential. I think Christian Watson, if he can get healthy, has a ton of potential. But those latter two have to still acclimate to the game. You and I have talked about it before. We've been spoiled with wide receivers over the last couple of years with like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, other guys that have come in and succeeded immediately in the NFL. Not everyone's going to do that. And so the Packers have to give those guys time. But there are certain plays that you can call, or you can move Aaron Jones out into the flipping slot where he does really flipping well and use him on like a jet sweep or a quick slant or a drag or something like that. It goes back to what we were talking about with the Falcons. Get your best players the ball. In this case, it is Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, because Aaron Rodgers is not, while he is your best player, is not someone that can like make a play from a like open field standpoint, if you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
So
Yep.
get it to your playmakers.
Yep. Yep. It's driving me nuts right now. It's driving me nuts watching the Green Bay Packers play football. It just doesn't make sense. It just does
No.
not make any sense in the world. And it's starting to really drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. There's our rants
That
for
is
the
what
night.
grinds our gears so far.
Yeah, that's what's grinding my gears. We're gonna get to questions here. Appreciate you guys for sticking around. Let's get into the question period. We got Ray 0134. Should I trade Dalvin Cook for Miles Sanders and Swift? I have Fournette and Kenny Walker.
I do this deal 110%, like 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I make this trade. Like Miles Sanders and Swift easily equal Dalvin Cook more than, and you're
Sanders
probably
is playing better than Cook right now, I think.
pretty close.
And then you get Swift, who has so much potential week to week, as long as he's on the field.
Yeah, I think Sanders is equal enough to Cook.
Yeah.
That Swift is kind of free cheese at that point. So yeah, I make this trade. Also, who should I start at? Fournette, Cook, and Kenny Walker, only 2 spots. Kenny Walker has a good matchup, that's for sure, against the Giants. Cook and Fournette.
They play. Oh, I should know who they play.
Baltimore. That's a tough matchup on a Thursday.
And like half their team is out. Yeah, I'm going Walker and Cook.
I'm going Walker and Cook as well. Yeah, I'm going Walker and Cook, and I'm sitting Fournette.
Yeah,
unanimous. Why not on why? Maybe. What do you guys think is the best landing spot for Akers? If the Rams can't trade him, they should just cut bait, right?
I figured out his name. It's Tony, but it's backwards and forwards. Like if you look at the T and go that way, it's Tony, and then if you look at the T in this way and go, it's Tony.
Oh, cool. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they'll cut bait. There's been a few people come out, few like Les Snead, I believe, and I think McVay said as well, like, don't just assume we're going to cut him. Like we're not writing it off that he won't come back and play for this team. They've kind of said that from the start. So I don't think they just cut him, especially not mid-season like this. But landing spots for Akers, the Cardinals are off the table because they're in division.
In division, yeah.
But the Miami Dolphins and the Browns, the cream hunt for Akers, I think makes tons of sense.
The Panthers. I know they've got Foreman and Hubbard, but the Panthers aren't a horrible spot.
I think the Panthers would just rather, play it out. And
I agree. But thinking like where is the hole?
I don't like write them off completely, but he's young enough that he could be your running back of the future. But I think those are the two spots. I think Miami and Cleveland make tons of sense. He would prefer Miami, I'm sure of that. Wasn't he Florida State?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Cam Akers, I believe.
Yes.
So I'm sure he would prefer Miami, but those are my two landing spots for pretty much any running back, Kareem Hunt or Cam Akers. Those are the two trade targets right now, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Anyone else? Just those two? Panthers maybe, but
Panthers maybe. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Like going through the divisions in my head.
I went through pretty deep when I was going through the Kareem Hunt stuff. So
yeah,
that's all I could really come up with.
Yeah, because I mean everyone else has their starting caliber and then some.
Or they're just going to ride it out and be a bad team. So
yeah, exactly.
Jacob Glasser, is it worth holding Harrison Butker over the bye? Shane?
I say yes, just because you know what you're getting with Butker every week. But it's going to depend on your roster structure. Like if you've got, just hold him.
If it's for me, if it's 12 team or less, no, I don't hold him. Yeah. If it's 14, 16, then I couldn't fault you for hanging on to him. But if it's 12, like you can stream. Like look at Myers in Seattle, Sanders in Miami, guys like that.
York in Cleveland. I like
York. Sure,
I love Cade York.
I'm
holding on to him in Scott Fishbowl. That's a little bit different beast, but I'm holding on to him in Scott Fishbowl personally.
Fair enough. Louis. This is my current team in 12.5 PPR. Hurts, Saquon, blah, blah, blah. Should I be looking for a tight end? Your tight ends are Everett on the bench. Is that it?
He's on bye this week, right? The only one.
Yes, they are on a bye.
But that's the only one he's got. So, yeah, he's got.
Yeah, you should look for a tight end.
You have to look for a tight end.
I can probably
go down 2 more comments or 3 more comments. He says he has a league mate with Ertz.
That is desperate. Hence, I could say if it's cheap would be worth it. Yes, absolutely. Zach Ertz is one of my favorite tight end like targets. Absolutely. Yeah. His floor is like 10 points, which is all you can really ask for your tight end.
Yeah.
And his ceiling can get up to 20. Yeah. That's a cheaper option too, right?
Yeah, but with this team, like who are you trading and I know your answer probably, but are you trading B-Rob for him? Do you think that gets it done?
I think it gets it done for sure. I'm trading DJ Moore if he can do it. If you can trade DJ Moore for Ertz, straight up.
I was thinking Bateman, honestly.
I would probably do that too. Yeah, with Devontae and Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got good running backs.
And DJ Moore's target share has been he's actually had a 20% target share all year, and he had 47% last week, which is the highest in his career other than one other week. So DJ Moore, I think, is kind of going up, whereas Bateman has been trending downwards. Obviously, he's been hurt too, but I might go Bateman for Ertz straight up. Maybe see if you can,
Yeah, either of those guys I think works. But yeah, Ertz is a great target. Tony, again, I think this probably goes back to the David Montgomery conversation. No, they probably don't pay him. Like when you got a guy like, Khalil Herbert
Herbert in
coming
the
up, and
wings. Yeah.
you don't pay him. Why would you? I don't particularly believe in paying any running back. I think you can hit the draft and.
Who the hell has it worked for lately?
Well, and Khalil Herbert was like a 6th-round pick, pretty sure,
Yeah.
out of Oregon
Double
State, I
check that real
believe.
quick.
6th-round pick out of Oregon State. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Checking the numbers.
But yeah, like you can get a quality running back in the 4th, 5th round. So I don't particularly pay any running back if I'm being honest. Edward Zhang. If I could get Amon-Ra Waddle for Jamar, was I right on that? Khalil Herbert, 6th round, Oregon State?
Sir. I didn't look Oregon State. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold, please.
If I could get Amon-Ra Waddle for Jamar, that's a great deal, right?
He's Virginia Tech.
Yes.
So
close.
Sorry, let's get back to this question now.
Jamar Johnson, I think was Oregon State.
Yeah.
For Detroit. If I could get Amon-Ra Waddle for Jamar Chase, that's a great deal, right? I mean, yeah, but it depends on the makeup of your team. I'll do the old Shane Barrett here. Like, if you're a contending team and you're making a playoff run and you're thinking about winning a championship, I'd rather have Jamar Chase if I have enough depth.
Well, so I'm really torn on this, actually, because I think from a value standpoint, you're getting 2 top 12 wide receivers, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe top 15. Depends on where you kind of put the Amon-Ra Waddle.
But Jamar Chase,
you're giving up a top 3 option. And we always say on the show, get the best player in the trade. And no matter what the trade is, unless you are trading for maybe Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson, which to me, that's still a push, Jamar Chase is going to be the best player in the trade. So I think I'm going to hold on to him just for that purpose alone.
Yeah, unless like you said, with there are 2 top 12 wide receivers. So if you're like a middling team, if you're sitting there, with a losing record, if you're what 3 and what are we at week
3
7?
and 4.
So if you're 3 and 4, yeah, that's not a bad trade. If you need some flex spots to get you through bye weeks and stuff like that, then yeah, it definitely does make sense. So it really does depend on the makeup of your team on this one. So depends on your record as it sits right now. And how much depth you have on your team. If you need depth, definitely make this trade. If you're looking to make a push to the finals and to win your league, I'd hang on to Jamar Chase. Caden, the Colts fan, Keenan, Wandale, and Hubbard for AJ Brown. What do you think, Shane?
No.
Hell yeah, I'm doing that.
Are you serious?
Hell yeah, I'm taking AJ Brown. I'm definitely taking AJ Brown.
I totally misinterpreted this.
I hope so.
Absolutely get AJ Brown for that.
Hell yeah, I'm doing
absolutely get AJ Brown for that. I totally misinterpreted this like you were trading away AJ Brown for that package, and that is a hell no. If you were trading this package to get AJ Brown, then I am 100% with you, Cody. This is a hell yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You're getting like Keenan. I do like Keenan Allen a lot. Don't get me wrong. And I'm actually in a league that I'm trying to. There's more to it, obviously, but I'm trying to trade Keenan for AJ Brown. Those are the centerpieces. There's more, but yeah. So I don't mind that, but like to get Wandale and Hubbard, no. Like my pieces I'm giving are better than those two to also get AJ Brown, but. AJ Brown's the best player in the trade, I think. So I know he is the best player in the trade. So absolutely, I make this deal. Ronnie Daniel, you've been around the chat. Thanks for showing up. What's good, fellas? Need 4 and full flex, full PPR. Eno, Aaron Jones, Ramondre, Foreman, Kupp, Olave, Kupp. Wow, you're going wide receivers here. 4 and flex.
This is
you're going Kupp, Olave, Pittman, and Amon-Ra for sure,
and then Aaron Jones.
Well, Ramondre,
who they have the Jets.
The Jets, right? Yeah. I'm a big.
And who did No, this is Ramondre this week, 100%, because the Packers have the Bills and they're going to get their asses handed to them.
Yeah, they're going to get dog walked and they're not going to run the ball anyways, but they're not going to be able to. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going the 4 wide receivers and Ramondre.
I'm going the 4 wide receivers and Ramondre as well, is what I'm doing. I'm benching Aaron Jones. Sounds wild, but Is it?
I don't think so.
Benguin 02YT. Should I trade Pittman for Najee and Goddard in a deep PPR 16 man? I'm starting. My starting tight end is Taysom Hill. I'm 3 and 4. My receivers are Juju, Chase, and my RBs are Pearson, Damian Harris. Should I trade Pittman for Najee and Goddard? Yes, I do that. I definitely rolled the dice on Najee, and I like Goddard. With Taysom Hill being kind of up and down.
Yeah, no, I think that's the move. Najee has been somebody that's been grinding my gears this year so far, but
his floor's been reasonable.
Yeah, his floor's been what, 10, 11 points
12,
relatively?
10 to 12, yeah.
So it's not horrible, but it kind of sucks because you were hoping for more. But Goddard's been a top 7, I think, tight end, roughly, and
with Sam Ehlinger coming in, like there's question marks there.
Yeah,
could be a huge upgrade,
with
but
Pittman. Yeah, for sure.
you know,
But I think with Juju, like, Juju is kind of a question mark too, just because they spread the ball so much in that offense. But like we've talked about, points are points, and with this being a 16-team league, I don't know. It feels like you're upgrading two positions here.
And I'd be pretty concerned about Damian Harris rest of the season.
Yep.
Like this is exactly what I saw happening in this offense was Ramondre taking over towards the end of the year, and then Damian Harris won't be on this team next year because his contract's up, and Ramondre Stevenson is the guy next season, and towards the end of this season, and I think that's what we're seeing, especially in that Chicago Bears game. He was all over the field. He was their only thing on offense that was really doing anything. So. Yeah, I make that trade. Keaton Herdsman. Do I play Sutton, Algier, Donta Foreman, Wandale, or Bateman at flex? Algier's got a good matchup. Against Carolina. Who knows what you're going to get out of Sutton at this point, right?
Yeah, like he's got a good matchup.
That game's in London, isn't it? Yeah, that game's in London.
Yes. Yeah. It's Jaguars.
Yeah.
Broncos, right?
Yeah. Jaguars' second home in London.
Yep.
Wandale's got a good matchup too. Bateman is just too hard to trust week to week.
And he's Thursday night.
Yeah, against the Bucks. I take Bateman out. I take Foreman out.
I'm actually between Foreman or Algier.
I like Algier and Wandale.
Yeah.
Wandale Robinson.
I think the answer then is Algier because that's the one we agree on.
Yeah, I like Algier. I think that's a really the Panthers have been really not very good against the run, and we know that the Falcons are going to run the ball. He's had 15 plus rushing attempts for the past 3 weeks or something like that, Algier. So right. I'm gonna I think we can agree on that. Let's go with Algier here in a good matchup, and we know he's going to get the volume, which is pretty key in fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Kells 22. Who would you start pick 2? Swift, Leonard Fournette, Dameon Pierce, Ramondre, B-Rob. I think we can agree on Ramondre.
I was going to say I think we can agree on Swift.
Is he playing?
Yeah, he was a full participant in practice today.
Who's Houston playing? Tennessee. Yep. Okay. Pick 2. Let's go with that. Ramondre and Swift, right?
Yeah.
I think we can sit Lenny against Baltimore.
Yep.
Ramondre Stevenson and DeAndre Swift, I think, is what we're going to go with. Jackson Polrang. Start TJ Hawkinson or Tyler Higbee. Hawk has been really tough to trust week in, week out. Really, really tough to trust.
Yeah.
That defense is super banged up.
Playing Miami.
I know.
Oh.
And Higbee's been getting targeted up to 14 times.
Trucker. And who do the Rams play?
49ers.
49ers. This is gross. I'm going to go Hawk based off the matchup with Miami.
I mean, this is going to be one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. The guy that you start poops his pants and the guy that's on your bench puts up 15 points. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Regardless of who.
Completely agree.
But I
so
mean,
let us know who you start so we can start the opposite.
Yeah, I'll just agree to make it easy and go with TJ Hawkinson because he has 40-point potential, as we saw a couple weeks ago. But I think it's going to be one of those piss you off type of weeks. Hopefully you get it right, Jackson, but go with TJ Hawkinson, I guess. Niner MMA 86. Rick does our graphics.
None other than Roto Heat Rick.
Roto Heat Rick, our fearless leader, does the thumbnail graphics for us. Ronnie, no problem, anytime.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Jackson pouring again. I'm 4-3. Made some trades this week. 10-man PPR. My team is Lamar. Blah blah blah. I have Mostert. Any moves you make, Lamar, you're good. JT, Mostert, Pollard,
Mooney. I don't know about you, but I may try and move some combination of Mostert, something off your bench, Mostert, Pollard, Mooney, and Judy, some combination of two of those, and maybe go. I don't know. These are hard questions. Like we've talked about that before, but maybe go get a backup tight end and something more consistent at running back, just because I personally think Mostert's hard to trust. He's looked great kind of the last 2 weeks that he's played, but I feel like he's a little harder to trust outside of that. And then Pollard, who knows? That's my thoughts, at least. What do you think?
I'm like the train of thought with the tight end. I'm not going for a backup. I'm looking for a starter. I'm looking for, take a quick look at the Kelsey and Andrews owner. If they're making the playoffs, then they're not moving them. It is what it is. But if you can go out and get Zach Ertz, maybe Dallas Goedert, but Zach Ertz would be my preferred. I would go, Higbee, and I agree with Mostert because there's a reasonable chance he picks up an injury, he gets a little dinged up. It's happened year in, year out for Mostert, unfortunately, and his value is really high right now.
Yeah.
So I would look at trading Mostert. I would look at trying to pick up Zach Ertz. If you could do like Higbee and Mooney for Ertz or something like that, and then like Mostert and Dameon Pierce for like, I would say like Breece Hall before the injury, or like Ramondre. Probably.
What about my guy? My guy.
Who's your guy?
ETN.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get that though right now. ETN's value just went through the roof. So, but I mean, Pierce and Mostert have quite a bit of value too. So try that. ETN. I would say Breece Hall before he just tore his ACL, but someone like that, top of my head, I don't know. I can't. Mixon, maybe Joe Mixon, maybe. No. I don't really love Mixon, if I'm being honest, even as a Bengals fan. But
I was like
an upgrade out at running back, because you're always starting Lamar, you're always starting JT. You got Kupp and Tyreek. Godwin's a good flex. You got good pieces there. But if you can get yourself another difference maker, I think that's going to make all the difference in the world to your roster and the tight end. I think if you could do an upgrade at tight end and an upgrade at running back, and then just hope you stay injury free.
Yeah,
because you'll have a good lineup, but if you get banged up, then it might get a little tough towards the end of the season for you. Jim Land, redraft 10 team PPR. I traded Lenny and received Evans and Singletary.
That's a phenomenal trade.
I have CMC, Hunt, White, Carter, Pollard, my receivers, CD, blah, blah, blah. Was it a good trade? Yeah.
I love that trade.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not like a Singletary truther by any means, but he's one of my favorite kind of targets to go grab right now, if you can, because he's been really consistent.
Yeah, he's quality. He's a quality running back, and you're going to get a reasonable 8-point floor, and it goes all the way up to 20 points with a touchdown sort of thing, right? So yeah, and Evans is Mike Evans is the best player in the trade, right?
Yeah.
You're getting Mike Evans plus. You're getting the best player in the trade plus.
Yeah,
it's free cheese, man. So yeah, I'd probably do Lenny for Evans straight up. Or sorry, I would do Evans for Lenny straight up because I'm getting Evans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, good trade. That's all we got for comments. If anyone else has got some comments, now's the time. We got a couple more minutes. If you want a question asked, let us know. Anything else grinding your gears, Shane?
No, I don't think so. Oh yeah, actually, it's not like like player or team specific. It's just me specific. If I'm in a league with you and you're watching this show, quit sending me shitty trade offers. Like if I'm clearly a tanking team and rebuilding team in Dynasty, stop asking for my first round pick. Like just don't do it. It's not happening.
But it's going to be a high pick. It's a good one.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not giving it away for free.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're tanking, never trade your own draft pick.
Yeah.
Rule number 1 in Dynasty football. If you're tanking, don't trade your own draft pick.
Like,
so, all right. Well, that's
so
gonna be the show, I guess. Then, so yeah, we got some stuff off our chest. We'll have a guest back next week. We wanted to kind of just rant on our own for a week and not drag anyone else into our
negativity,
our negativity and our cry sessions. So we wanted to just do this one on our own. But next week we'll have a special guest with us as we usually do. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're still kicking around. We got the Discord up in the corner over there. Hit up the Discord. You can at both of us there if you have questions. Hit up the DMs and Twitter if you have questions or comments. Anything at all, let us know. These are obviously our Twitter handles right here. Shane, what do you got for the peeps?
Yeah, if you, I will gladly answer sit questions, trade questions, waiver questions, whether it's DMs on Twitter or on Discord. But if it's on Discord, for the love of God, tag me because I have tried to turn off as many notifications as I can on there. Other than that, thank you for watching the show. Cody, it was a blast as always. And that's all I got.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.